Well, then, welcome aboard, Van Son. In fact, what we'll do is that we're going to start to build a ranger with this playtest material subclass called the Swarmkeeper. And I'll tell you what, Van Son, why don't you get us going? I have a blank character sheet ready to go. And using the methodology of our character randomizer, can you please type exclamation point 1D100? And that will determine if we have a female character, a male character, or hey, there's a chance that we even might have a multi-class character. Stops on a 40. All right, so we're going to have a female character. Zulurpai, would you please roll a D10 to help us determine which race our character is going to be? We're going to get there soon enough, Raz. And by the way, for any of you who are curious as to... Wait, Swarmkeeper, what the heck? This is Unearthed Arcana playtest material you can download for free, and if you follow the link, there it is. Stops on a 6. We have a Half-Orc. All right. Now, this is something that I make a distinguishation about. It's not really something that comes up in the player's handbook, though on a die roll we can go odds or evens. Does this half-orc favor her human descent in genetics? Maybe she just looks more human than orc, or her orcish descent. And it could even just be cultural. Maybe she just identifies with orcs more than humans, even if, no matter how she looks. And so, Raz, can you please roll a D4 and odds, human descent, evens, orc descent. And this is really just, I don't know, it could play into her personality. It's kind of a tiebreaker if we're on the fence about something. Female half-orc. She favors her human descent. Okay. Let's see. Half-orcs are medium-sized creatures. Very good. All right, now Hark. Hark, can you please roll a percentile die in chat to give us our alignment? Exclamation point 1D100, please. Stops on a 67, just at the cutoff point for chaotic neutral. Chaotic neutral. Okay. Now we already know that we're going to be generating her at level 18, as that is the level for all of the characters we're going to generate with this Unearthed Arcana. And the reason for that is that we can compare them all side by side when we finish. Because the fighter subclass capstone was level 18, and that was the highest capstone, so they're all going to be 18. Very good. Now we're going to determine if there are any feats that are going to replace her ability score improvement at level 4, 8, 12, and 16. And I would like, let's see, who do we have here? Pouty Lips, will you please roll a percentile set in chat? Exclamation point 1D100. Hi, Mythical Hyena. Oh, you want to get in on this too? All right, Hyena, come on. Step up. I'll call on you in just a second here. Well, Mythical Hyena, your time is now. Pouty Lips might be away from keyboard. So, Mythical Hyena, will you please type exclamation point 1D100? Stops on a 48. All right. She's all natural. Is just going to take stat bumps instead. Now we're going to determine her background. And to do this, I am going to need the assistance of, let's see, Bubonic one left. Mazamune, are you still here? If you are, can you please type exclamation point 1D20 in chat to help determine the background for our character? Mazamune might not be here. Black Wolf, are you here? Can you roll a d20 in chat? And if any of you want to participate in this, I look for people who are, who are in chat, saying like hi or something, and I'll call on you. It seems like we also do not have a Black Wolf. My goodness. All right. Saname, are you still there? All right, Dysfemist. Dysfemist is still alive. We're dropping like flies out there, everyone. My goodness. Stops on an 11. Thank you, Dysfemist. We have a noble. Hey, Kevin. Oh, you're still here? All right, I'll call on you next, Kevin. So she is a noble. Nobles don't have any particular, type of nobility. You could argue the knight, but it's kind of its own background. And so she is a noble. And we already know up here also she is a ranger. Swarmkeeper. All right. Now for the class features, Rangers do get... Rangers are actually going to get a favored enemy and a fighting style. So before we get to the favored enemy here, Kevin, I want you to help me determine her fighting style. Will you please roll a d4 in chat to help determine how she fights in combat? And a defensive style, archery, dueling, or a two-weapon fighter? A half-orc noble, you got it, Tesla. Stops on a 1, archery. All right. Fighting style, archery. And the favored enemy, we're gonna get there. We'll roll that in just a little bit when we get to we get to this here. There's a couple more details I want to fill in first. Tesla, will you please help us determine how old she is with a percentile roll? That's going to give us where in her life she's at. And while you do that, I'm going to find the half-orc entry on our spreadsheet. Half-elf, half-orc. There we go. All right, she is middle-aged. And being middle-aged for a half-orc... Hey, Rin! Oh, Rin, you're here just in time to help us out with stuff and things. She is going to be 35 plus 1d15 years. So what I'll do is I will open up... I'll open up the dice roller here. And make a 15-sided die and add 35 to it. And roll. She is 50 years old. All right. Rin, you like stuff and you like things? Well, I have a deal for you. All right, Rin, I would like you to type exclamation point 4d6 in chat. The first the first number is going to go into her height modifier. The other 3 numbers are going to be her ideal, her bond, and her flaw. Rin might not have expected that I'd call on him to make a roll in chat here. I caught him unawares. BRB gonna grab a drink that I forgot to get earlier? Alright. Oh, Rin, there you are. Can you please type exclamation point 4D6 in chat for me? Alright, so the first was one of her height modifiers, so 5. Then 4, 4, and 2 for her ideal, her bond, and her flaw. Thank you very much, Rin. Alright, now I'm going to need another D6 rolled. I'm sorry, I guess that's a part of her weight modifier. Was 5. Is there anyone else I can call on that hasn't rolled yet? Does anyone out there want to help create this character? Otherwise, we'll go back and I'll start calling on folks that have rolled. But I want everyone to have their first helping before we go up for seconds. All right, Kevin, I would like you. Oh, hey, all right, hang on. So Kevin, don't roll this yet. We got 2 other people to help out. Zulorpai, I need you to give me 1d6, and this is going to be another part of her weight modifier. And Totem Fiend, 1. All right. All right, so her weight modifier is going to be a ×6 for what her height modifier is going to be. Totem Fiend, her height modifier is 2d10. So what I'd like you to do is type exclamation point 1d100. The tens place will be 110. The ones place will be the second 10. And then we'll add that up. A 4 and an 8, so that's 12. So we're adding 12 inches to her base height. So really, her base height, it starts at 4'10". So she is 5 feet, 10 inches tall. Then we're going to take this 12, multiply it by 6, and then we're going to add 72 pounds to her base weight of 140. So she is 212. She's 5'10", 212 pounds. Welcome back, Hark. Hark, will you please roll a D8 in chat to give us one of her personality traits? Lands on a 6. All right, there we go. And we need one more personality trait. And so to help roll, Kevin, I called on you here before. Yeah, half-orcs tend to be like maybe literally big boned. Kevin, will you please roll a D8 in chat? Lands on a 1. So her 2 personality traits are number 6 and number 1. And so we have our placeholders. We have her age, her height, her weight. And then we are going to get... we're going to get some favored enemies here. As part of her class feature. And her favorite enemy, of course, this is going to help tell her story. This is going to help tell her story. Because why would she have these as favorite enemies? Why would she track them? Why would she hunt them or be knowledgeable about them if she didn't encounter them in her life? And so, peeking ahead a little bit into the Ranger... Beginning at first level, we're gonna get this feature. So choose a type of favorite enemy, and then so we're gonna get some abilities, and then we get an additional favorite enemy at 6th and 14th level. So we're actually gonna end up having 3 favored enemies. Now, I don't have a 14-sided die handy. At least for chat out here. But what I can do is... I can open up our dice roller here. And I can manufacture a 14-sided die. And I can roll for 3 of them. And the results of this are going to tell us which kind of enemies she favors to hunt or to track, or she has a knowledge about. So if you see what I'm doing here, and let's roll it. Oh, I need to take off that plus 35 modifier. Whoopsie, that would have been interesting. Here we go. 8, 13... and 3. So 8 are fiends. Eight are fiends. 13 are 2 humanoid races. And so, humanoid would be orcs, goblins, tieflings, gnomes. So what I would like, let's see. What's a good way to go about this? She's going to be favoring... possibly. I'll tell you what. Raz, will you roll a d6 in chat? If it's odds, it's a player race, like a PHB player race. If it's evens, it'll be a monstrous race. You're getting close, Raz. Odds. All right. Zulurpai, will you please roll a d10 in chat to determine the race that she is good at tracking? Stops on 2. Dwarves. Well, Raz, there's part of it. And we'll do this once more for her other humanoid. Let's see. Tesla, can you roll a d6? Odds or evens? Odds, it's a player handbook race. Evens, it's a monstrous race. This is a monstrous race. Okay. So we have... Oh, geez. Some common ones would be orcs, goblins. Let me make a list. Orcs, goblins, kobolds, gnolls. Are there any other humanoids that I'm leaving out that are sort of large families of humanoid? I don't know offhand. So all right, I guess we have four main choices. There could be others, but hey, it is what it is. Yuan-Ti, yeah, Yuan-Ti. I think Yuan-Ti are humanoid, or at least they purebloods. Hobgoblins are a goblinoid, which is a type of humanoid, Van. Minotaurs? Are Minotaurs humanoid? Or are they fey or monstrous creatures? That's mummies. Those are undead. Mimics. So it'd be M-I-N. There we go. They are monstrosities. I'm not talking about the player race. This would be a monstrous humanoid. Ah! We could go with something fishy, like a Sahagin. Very good. We're also going to get... we're going to get Natural Explorer, and we're going to have some favored terrain as well. Which, honestly, I don't know, if we were rolling this, could have had an influence, but I'm not too worried about it. We have level 1. We have level 6 and 10. We also need... Okay, I'm sorry. I need a D6. Van... Will you please type exclamation point 1d6? Orcs. Oh! Van just gave us a plot twist, everyone. And here's where we can have the emote of it writes itself. She is a half-orc, though she favors her human side more. And she is especially good at interacting with orcs. Now, it says favored enemy. You know, does it mean that you hate orcs because of that? Not necessarily. but she's on to orcs. She knows their patterns. She knows their behaviors. She may not live with them, but she's good at interacting or tracking them or understanding their lifestyle and their culture. And then our last roll for this was... Whoops, let's collapse this down. Was number 3. And that roll was Celestials. This is going to build a very interesting story. So she started off... with this interaction with fiends, devils, Yugoloths, demons, Rakshasa. And over the course of her adventuring life, she also lived amongst, understands, dwarves, orcs, and celestials. And simply by going through favored enemies and also natural explorer, this is going to really tell a tale. Rangers have indelible marks left upon them by the things they've experienced in life, because they've adapted to their environment, to their circumstances. And so this step is very big in character development, even though these are class features. Tesla says she used to be more orc cultured, but grew out of that at some point in her life. She hates her father, who's an orc? Possibly, Raz. Do half-orc names come from the mother or the father? Whatever you want, Zulerpai. This is any culture. This is this is our story to create through our agent, who is this character. All right, now we have our natural explorer as well, and there are 8 different terrains which rangers are good at navigating through, finding resources and such. And so, Tesla, will you please give me a D8 roll to give us our first natural explorer region? Stops on a 3. All right, so she began her career in the desert. Her ranging abilities, her scores. She was in some kind of a desert environment. And we're also involving fiends at level 1. So somewhere in her life, she had to deal with fiends and lived in a desert environment. Rin, if you're still out there, can you also give me a D8 roll? Well, where are the trees coming in, Raz? Hi, Hypnotic. I don't remember offhand if that's been the case, Hypnotic. But if you have a tracking number, you can always call the delivery service and find out what's going on. Rin may no longer be with us. All right, who else is here? Kevin, give me a D8 roll, please. stops on a 2. Now so now she has spent some time in her life along a coastal region. Now, we can interpret this in a couple different ways. It could be a saltwater coast. It could be sort of like me. I'm along a Great Lake shore. Maybe it's Riverlands. She could be living in Riverlands. But somewhere where land and water meet, she has experience tracking, crossing over, hunting, gathering, and that kind of a thing. Rods, welcome. Yes, we are building a character step by step through random prompts, and we're going to bring her to life in front of our eyes here through participation with the audience. So in fact, Rods, while you're here, if you don't mind, would you roll a D8 in chat? Exclamation point 1D8. And this is going to help give us our third favored terrain for our ranger that we're building. Stops on a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A mountain. Excellent. She is very well traveled. Rangers get a ton of stuff, and I know a lot of people say that the ranger in the player's handbook, you know, if you don't look at you know, any other I don't know, the class variant Unearthed Arcana and stuff, they say, you know, kind of disparaging things, and I can understand that. Rangers though have great potential to be very powerful, to be super useful. However, it all comes down to communication with the Dungeon Master. Because you can build a ranger that is absolutely set to hunt, gather, and survive in the Arctic. And if your Dungeon Master says, all right, all of you, the entire campaign is going to take place on a tropical island. Well, come on, right? So it does take a little communication. But if you get that communication, your ranger, even your vanilla ranger out of the book, can be super, super good. So from loads of sand to sand with at least water this time to mountains, I wonder what the layout of the land for whatever world they live in. Well, and it doesn't even have to be as expansive as a world. This can simply be a region. I mean, where in the world can we see major mountain, coastal, and desert features in one state? Yep, maybe Celestials lived at the top of the mountains, and the fiends roam the deserts. What the Ranger is allowing us to do is build a fantastic world, because she is the product of that world. All of these are getting our minds to think about what kind of a world, or a region, or a setting would produce a character like this. Well, you know, for the mountains, the mountains and if we take coast as river, I'd give that to you. The desert, I don't know so much about the desert part. Now, I can tell you California has mountains, coasts, and deserts very close to each other. But even, you know, think even outside the United States. You know, I mean, if you want to go further south into Mexico, you know, this could be the Baja Peninsula. We could take this out to the Persian Gulf. How many Middle Eastern countries contain mountainous environments, deserts, and coasts, all within sort of a lifetime's journey around? All right, so we have our placeholders. And now that we've gone through, we've cast our bones into the augury dish, it's now time to read them and coax out the rest of the character from the mists of creation that we've begun to summon her. We have a constellation, we have these points of reference, these stars, but not everyone can see the shape of the constellation from that alone. And so I will be your guide in the planetarium to use a laser light to connect the stars and help develop our character. Greece? Hey, Greece could qualify. I mean, there's a lot of arid space in Greece. Southern Italy as well. We Australians could really use the Creator Destroy Water spell right now. Hi, random person. It is, yeah, someone just earlier was mentioning that there's some brush fire going on. So you all are experiencing a California right now. Because California is almost always experiencing mudslides, earthquakes, fires. All sorts of stuff is going on there. When we do character creation on this channel, I begin with the background. And the reason for that, not because her race is unimportant or her class, and we'll get to that. You know, rangers are rangers, okay? We'll get to ranger stuff. That's what she does. I want to know, who is she? How does she make decisions? That is the living, breathing soul of the character. And 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons is excellent with this background system because it helps us determine that, to make choices, to get into our character, to give us prompts to consider. Hey, the area where I live is called the Firelands, Tesla. We're going to go to chapter 4, and we determined that she is a noble. Hey, the cat's doing something. Hang on. Cats? I just get a sneeze in return. My goodness. Hi, cat. You're not out there throwing up or anything, are you? Hopefully not. Sorry about that. And welcome, Rod. Oh, there he is. Hi, are you feeling all right? You want to come up and say hi, buddy? Come on. No, you just want to rub on stuff? All right. As long as you're not yakking on my carpet. I hope. Anyway. All right. Let's discover who our character is. She's going to get a couple mechanical benefits. I'm going to scoot this off to the side. She's going to have proficiency in history and persuasion. She's going to have a tool proficiency in some kind of a gaming set. And she's going to have a language of her choice. Now, being an orc or a half-orc, she's going to be able to speak Common, Orc or Orcish, and then she's going to get one other for being a noble. Jessica Moon, good evening to you. Good evening. Or good morning, depending. Or I guess good after... No, it would be... In Australia, it'd be good evening, especially because the... Well, no, the sun hasn't... The sun is setting for us around 5 p.m., everyone. But if you're in Australia, I guess it would be a good afternoon still, because the sun would still be up. Well, it's almost 3 a.m., Hypnotic. At least here. Is gaming like gambling gaming or VR gaming? Probably not virtual reality, given the locale. But this could be gambling. It could just be she enjoys playing chess for the heck of it. Here is where I'm in Ohio. Not that you have to disclose where you're at, but... and then she's going to get a couple items here. A set of fine clothes. She's going to get a signet ring. She's going to get a scroll of pedigree. Now, a scroll of pedigree is something you can show to people to demonstrate you are of royal blood. You can trace your family tree. And I think what would be a lot of fun... What would be a lot of fun is if we have the scroll of pedigree manifest as a trinket. You know, this is a family heirloom. This is something that proves she is a noble of this bloodline. And so our pedigree is going to be trinket number something. And Jessica, would you please type !1D100 into chat to help us determine which trinket she has that proves she has noble blood in her veins. 36. All right. I don't know which trinket 36 is, and it's fine. We're going to save that revelation for near the end of character creation. How can you adopt a mini? Well, a mini, you can adopt minis. If you want to do the gacha pulls, it would be 500 bits or $5 donated for every pull. Or you can get boxes of minis, and there are two ways to do that. For $11, I will open a box, and you'll get first dibs on any of the 4 miniatures in that box that I reveal to you. And then the other 3 go to what I call the orphanage, which is a bunch of singles that I hang on to that can be adopted at a later time. If you want all the contents of the box, it's $18 instead. And shipping to a US address is included if you get a box. Hey, Jessica, that's absolutely fine. If there's a chance where you have some spare money and you want to get a mini, I'll be here. I will earn your business. And if not, don't feel like there's a pressure to get Dungeons and Dragons minis. I do not judge you all based on the amount that you've purchased. But it is a way for me to give back to people who give to the channel. I appreciate bits. I appreciate, tips and donations. If I can give you something else in return, such as miniatures, let me do so. Yeah, you're very welcome, Jessica. Yeah, I would not be here without you all. And so you all being here, chatting, even lurking silently, participating in character creation, asking questions, answering other people's questions who seek mentorship, I appreciate that so much. And if there's frosting on the top that we can enjoy, such as getting miniatures, we'll enjoy the frosting when we can. A full box is 18, Zuller Pie. Most boxes are 18. Some boxes, like Monster Menagerie 3, are 22 because they're more expensive for me to get in because there are giants in those boxes. Big honking pieces of plastic. So it's heavier to ship and they're more expensive for me to get because there's huge figures inside. A full box is 18. You are correct, Zuller Pie. Now, we have a background feature. All right, well, I'll be able to pop that box when we finish our workshop. So anytime during that, Zuller Pie, that's absolutely fine. Jessica, if you're comfortable with that and want to accept it, then what we'll do is I can hang on to those minis if you want to grow a collection. If you want me to ship them to you in a private message on Discord, you could do it through Twitch as well, but if you want to join our Discord, you're welcome to as well. But in a private message, I would need a name and an address to where you want them sent. I mean, for all I know, the name and address you give me is your brother in Walla Walla, Washington. You know, I don't track your info. I don't, you know, as a store who also does you know, eBay stuff and other things, I ship out what people get. But if you're comfortable with that, Jessica, then it sounds like Zulerpie would like to help you out. All right, now, the background. Nobles have two different ones that they can choose. The first is a position of privilege. Thanks to your noble birth, people are inclined to think the best of you. You are welcome in high society, and people assume you have the right to be wherever you are. The common folk make every effort to accommodate you and avoid your displeasure, and other people of high birth treat you as a member of the same social sphere. You can secure an audience with a local noble if you need to. Or, we have a variant feature of retainers. You have the service of 3 retainers loyal to your family. These retainers can be attendants or messengers, and one might be a major domo. Your retainers are commoners who can perform mundane tasks for you, but they do not fight for you, will not follow you into obviously dangerous areas such as dungeons, and will leave if they are frequently endangered or abused. So we have some options. As we develop her personality, let's decide, would she herself carry that position of privilege? Or, with her life and lifestyle, would she have people to follow her around? That's right. They are so privileged, they can choose whether or not they have privilege. So we're going to hold off on the background feature for a moment. I want to know more about her. Let's develop her personality. Her first personality trait is number 6. Despite my noble birth, I do not place myself above other folk. We all have the same blood. Perhaps being a half-orc humbled her? Maybe she's always felt that connection. What if actually the orc is the noble? She could be the daughter of a chieftain or a chieftainess of the orcs. And the orcs rule this area. You know, there are desert orcs and mountain orcs. What if she is a half-human? Let's not look at her as a half-orc. What if she's a half-human? Or honestly, does it have to be human? It doesn't have to. It just says half-orc. So we know that there for sure is orcish blood. But is she a dwarf? Is she dwarf, half-orc? Is she an elvish orc? Now, a lot of us, it's easier to conceive she's half-human, half-orc in our minds. And if we roll with that, we could still put the focus, though. Is she actually considered a half-human? She identifies with her human side more, right? She favors her human heritage. Is that because in this world that she was accustomed to, the humans might have been an underclass? The orcs are actually refined. They're the ones who run society, and the humans are simply the ones that are used for labor. However, she doesn't hold herself above others. And her second personality trait is number 1.
Enjoy and good luck.
Enjoy and good luck. So, Jessica, if you have some time to spend with us tonight when we finish our character, I will open a box of minis of your choice in front of you on camera, and those will be your minis. And I can hold on to them for you, and you can build a collection to be sent out at a later time. Or if you say, I like them and I want them sent, then we can work on your shipment off to the side privately. Personality trait number 1 is my eloquent flattery makes everyone I talk to feel like the most wonderful and important person in the world. So especially among commoners, but even with the nobles, she can flatter them. She makes people feel at ease and comfortable. She's a noble of the people. Yeah, smooth talker. Now, what is her ideal for the world? Her ideal is number 4, power. If I can attain more power, no one will tell me what to do. Now, this says evil, in parentheses after this ideal. And we can once more go back and say, hold on, whoa, whoa, whoa. How do we have a chaotic neutral character with an evil ideal? That's it. Unsubscribed, unstream. In fact, I'm going to delete Twitch as like the company from the face of the earth. I've had enough of this ridiculousness on this site. I swear to you it's possible to have someone who expresses herself in a more spontaneous fashion, the chaotic fashion. She's impulsive, she's spontaneous. Her neutrality isn't that she's indecisive. She might actually be very considerate because she is weighing the pros and the cons, even on an impulse. Well, last time, I figured I liked his face and I helped him, but that seemed to cause some trouble over here. So maybe I'll help out this other faction. Or I'll help this person again, but in order to secure my help, he's going to have to tone it down a little bit. The neutrality comes in, you help others after you've helped yourself. Or you can be selfish, but not at the exploitative extent that in a more evil or selfish aligned character would be. So we have someone who's impulsive. We have someone who is thoughtful of her role. If she is of mixed blood and noble, that probably is grinding some gears. And so with her personality, she seems to be a social lubricant to keep the gears going smoothly. That means she has to adapt. That means she has to ride the tides of sentiment and propaganda and all of this. So the fact that she expresses herself in this way is a part of her survival in the world in which she lives. Though that doesn't mean that deep down, her ideal is once I can be powerful, I don't have to do this. I don't have to have the gears grinding into me anymore because I can rule for the people. And so it says evil in the book. She can do this to release all the humans from bondage or whatever's going on in this society. Okay, Zuler. Yeah, it went through. I'll just have to pop the box when we finish our workshop. If no one can tell you what to do, that just makes you unpredictable. Hark says, sounds like my half-elf that was a paladin in every way, though he searched for power to be his own person. Well, I'm glad you're finding resonance with this character, Hark. Next up is our bond. We rolled number 4. I am in love with the heir of a family that my family despises. Ooh. In Fair Verona, do we have orcish Montagues and human Capulets? Is she the product of a dalliance, though within the context of a strong orcish noble family? But perhaps she has eyes for a human noble? Uh-oh. This is why bonds are cool. And as a dungeon master, you absolutely should look at the player's characters that they hand over to you, because this is making the world come alive. It's giving you campaign ideas, setting ideas that you can work into whatever adventure you're running, and it's going to hook the player with the character, because you're tailoring without having to go out of your way. You're tailoring the content for him or her. All right, now what is her flaw? Because we are all flawed creatures. Yes. Her flaw is 2. I hide a truly scandalous secret that could ruin my family forever. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what is her scandal? Is her scandal... Maybe she looks very orcish, but she has some human features. What if she is never supposed to let out that mom or dad, orc, had a dalliance, a tryst, if you will, with a human. And so when she makes her appearances among the commoners, she might have to wear some extra makeup. She might have to put on like prosthetic teeth extenders to give her, orcish tusks that are more proper. Or, Tesla, you're taking the idea. I love it. You're taking the idea and you're turning it on its head. The scandal. So maybe as almost like a princess or an heiress, what if she was supposed to be the product of humans and orcs to bridge the two? But instead, the impropriety was her orcish parent actually was with another orc. Uh-oh. But she's been sold to the people as someone who shares mixed blood, as a gesture of peace. Tesla, I actually like that idea. You put a Kappa face, but I like that. And so the dalliance is the fact that she is full-blooded orc. Tesla, I think you're onto something fun. That creates a compelling story. Now, for all of you out there who are just joining us, or if this is your first time seeing a workshop, do you get what we do here? Do you see the power inherent in some random dice rolls if we just sit down and think about the options? She's not evil, Hypnotic. And the real it was a swap? Oh, was it like the nursemaid had a child and they actually needed to make a swap or something like that? The scandal. Tesla, this is stuff that makes it into the tabloids at the time. It's my character's original story, only a female half-orc, because if known he was born a half-elf instead of a full elf like his parents, he'd become a bastard to his possible place if the royal family ended. Chaotic neutral, that is correct, Kevin. And so somewhere out there, oh, Tesla. Meanwhile, I'm over on another tab to your fifth try to Sudoku puzzle. Well, hey, you're multitasking. What if then? If we had a scandalous baby swap in the royal family, what if she actually ends up in love with the baby that she replaced? You know, the two lives, kind of maybe like a prince and a pauper, although it'd be like a princess and a pauper. Now, you as the dungeon master get to, explore that. This is simply what one of your friends hands you and says, I like this concept. I want to play a character like this. Make it happen. And you go, yes, sir, or ma'am. I'd love to, because just from this one character, look at all of the world building that has happened. We have a setting. We have intrigue. There's dwarves that are going to be involved in this somehow. And of course, she's, at some point, she gets to know the orcs extra well. And if it wasn't raised with the orcs, maybe she's raised with the humans and is sent, and then that's where she learns about the orcs. We have a setting. We have a cast. Everything is in place, and all we've done is partially created one character from random dice rolls that you all made in chat. Well, she will get a name soon, Zulurpai. So keep names in mind. Excellent. So we now know a lot more about her. Who she is, what she does, as far as her lifestyle. She's survived the politics for long enough. She is a matriarch in her own right. She's 50. She might have even had kids of her own, or even grandkids. But she's still not the ruler for whatever reason. Right? She wants to be the supreme ruler, not just, more of a matronly, a mother, or even a grandmother to be. Maybe over the course of this adventure that you run this character on, maybe she has a son or a daughter that's about ready to have, to pass down the line. Something like that. Or maybe she's childless, because if she has to hide the scandal, what if she never had kids? Because once she did, people would see that there's, for whatever reason, she was able to suppress or like a curse or magic or something. But once she has a kid, maybe that magic doesn't, pass on. And when they see that her child that comes out of her is not like her, Pesquetios. Something's been going on in the royal courts. Maybe this is how she became a Swarmkeeper. She busied herself traveling. She realized that I can never have a family because of this burden. And so she spent time traveling, looking around. We'll look at the Swarmkeeper shortly. But now let's take a look at who is she as a half-orc. Or, again, a half-elf, a half-dwarf, whatever. It's so easy in 5th edition to simply reskin something you want. It says half-orc. Maybe you just play a really strong human. Or maybe in your DM's custom setting, orcs are called something else. There's a lot of ways that you can take this, and you can abide by the mechanics. But reskin the fluffy parts. The girls were swapped at birth. She's the full blood, the other is the half blood. But is the one she fell in love with. But that's the one so she might have actually fallen in love with the one that she replaced. She's living that person's life. And if you ever, there's not a terribly strong amount of difference mechanically between the playable orc stats and the half-orc. And even if we wanted to do that, right? And we say, well, she's a full-blooded orc, and you say, well, let's go to Volos. And apparently take it out of tab for some reason. Let's go to Volos. All right, everyone. We're going to take a look at orcs. Although, really, it'll be more... it's going to be more of the... So, orc traits. Strength increases by 2, con by 1. They have dark vision. Speed's the same. Intimidation, you still get training as a half-orc. So where it comes into play is powerful build and aggressive. But honestly, these are things that you might have just... If you're a tribal, kind of low man on the totem pole orc, these as a part of your race might have just been inherent because of your lifestyle. And if we go to a softer... ultimately they're kind of balanced if you play an orc, or a half-orc. But there's nothing necessarily saying that her fortified orcish blood wouldn't give her the ability she has, the Relentless Endurance or the Savage Attacks. It's so close that it's fine to run a full orc on the chassis. You know, you have the skin of a full orc riding on the chassis of a half-orc. Nothing wrong with that. That's a great idea, Black. Where was I? Oh yeah, orcs. We're talking orcs. I'm over in Volo's guide. Our strength score increases by 2, so I'm going to float that here. And our constitution increases by 1. We have a base walking speed of 30 feet, giving us 15 climb, 15 swim, 0 fly. We do get 60 feet of dark vision, so we can see well in the dark. Menacing, we gain proficiency in the intimidation skill. Persuasion and intimidation. Relentless Endurance, when you're reduced to 0 hit points, but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. It's a focus sash, if any of you play Pokemon. Relentless Endurance is a focus sash. We also get Savage Attacks. When you score a critical hit with a melee weapon attack, you can roll one of the weapon's damage dice 1 additional time and add it to the extra damage of the critical hit. And then we speak Common, Orc, and we got the one other from Noble. So, ta-da, we're a half-orc. You see why I don't... You know, if we start with this, what does this tell us about the character? This doesn't really tell us much about the character at all. Because she is whatever she is on top of being a half-orc. And that's why I prefer the background. Anyway, now, why don't we go to Ranger? And because we're using Unearthed Arcana, UA, which is playtest material, all I'm doing is I'm building the Ranger class. 18 levels of the Ranger class. And then when we do that, we're going to tack on the subclass archetype material. As a Ranger, you have D10 hit die. And as you're level 18, you conveniently have 18 D10 hit die that you can use when you rest to naturally recover hit points that have been lost, without relying on spells, potions, and the like. Oh, I thought I saw a new... so she'd be the one... So, Kevin, or I don't know if you want me to use your full name, Black Kevin, that is for us to consider. If we like that story idea, on the travels we've defined her going on, how would she come to love or respect? It doesn't even have to be, it could be romantic love. It could be platonic. It could be sisterly in a sense. Oh, and you know what? You know what that could mean? What if the person she was swapped with, you know, ended up being like one of the palace servants, recently had a child too on the same night or something, or close enough? What if instead of position of privilege, especially because her personality is that of I walk amongst the people. What if we give her instead retainers, the variant retainers background feature? And so she is of noble blood. She would go out into... Either's fine? Okay, cool. And so she would go out into the world, and what if her swapped other is one of her retainers that travels with her across the lands? Yeah. It writes itself, everyone. It writes itself. There, Hypnotic Gamers got it. Capital M, lowercase IWI. It writes itself. Do you see the fun, compelling story we're making, and we're not burning out our brain cells doing it? And Kevin, you said that you were thinking this, so it came naturally to you. It just, everything was there. You connected the dots, and you organically made this compelling prompt, which it helped us go through, and now we have a mechanic to also help back that up. So she travels, and one of the retainers, for some reason, she just always felt this connection. You know, it could be the retainer who sews her clothes or bathes her or something along those lines. You know, so that there's you know, I'll say intimate, but it doesn't have to be, you know, like smoochy smooch time intimate. Maybe those are the feelings that are bubbling up. But, you know, a confidant. Oh, I've always been able to talk with you, retainer. And so they build this bond as they travel over the mountains, the deserts, along the coasts. They find out the machinations of the dwarves and the orcs. And hey, you know what? If we have favored enemies of dwarves and orcs, what if instead of human we actually are half dwarf, half orc? We're dorks. we're just big old dorks over here. Right? Again, it writes itself. And I'm sorry, the character sheet is a little bit off screen. So some of these notes you might not be able to see too easily as we're going through this. But everything you need to tell the tale and to make the setting, and it's all right here. All right, anyway. We are proficient with light and medium armor as well as shields. We are proficient with all simple and martial weapons. And these are in this is the proficiency section we're in right now. And now we get, I'm sorry, before we get to our skills, we have strength and dexterity as our proficient saves. So we're better at making those saves than the others. Now we're going to get to choose 3 skills from animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. So if we come down here, this is where I love to draw inspiration. So we know she's a ranger. We know she's traveled around and she has these, you know, she has the things that she likes or dislikes, or at least has experience working with. Because again, favored enemy doesn't mean you have to hate that creature, that person or race. It simply means that you are really good at understanding their behavior, their movements, their culture. So let's go through her personality one more time. Despite my noble birth, I do not place myself above other folk. We all have the same blood. My eloquent flattery makes everyone I talk to feel like the most wonderful and important person in the world. Well, we have persuasion from being a noble. We also have intimidation from being a half-orc here. Power, if I can attain more power, no one will tell me what to do. I'm in love with the heir of a family that my family despises, and I hide a truly scandalous secret that could ruin my family forever. We have someone who survived 50 years of nobility, which has its own Darwinian, survival of the fittest, as well as being out in the wilds to become this Swarmkeeper ranger, to learn the pulse and beat of the land, to walk amongst the common people. Tesla, yeah, wouldn't that be just such a tender moment, Tesla? You know, there's that moment of confession over the course of your campaign, where that line, you know, after a fierce battle, they come back and maybe she's tapped of spells, and so the retainer comes over and like washes her wounds and binds her arm or shoulder. Maybe it got dislocated or something on a really big hit that she was able to focus sash. And you have that tender moment where the noble, who is actually the servant, or supposed to be in the same and different life, looks to the other, and you have that, reaches up from the tub, touches the cheek. You were at my side all along. Oh, it's wonderful. It's poetic. Rod, or rods if you prefer, I begin around 11 p.m. Sometimes it's a little later depending on my personal circumstances. 11 p.m. Eastern. Of course, there's always VODs, and the workshops get uploaded to YouTube, so you can watch them on YouTube later as well. And at the end of every week, the content we make, such as PDF files for characters, if we draw maps, if we have worksheets to make villains and NPCs and such, all of that gets uploaded to our Discord. And if you draw inspiration from any of it, download it for free. You don't have to be a follower. You don't have to be a subscriber. You don't have to donate a particular amount. It's all there for your inspiration. So animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. Well, grown up as she has, I want to say knowledge, nature. She's not unintelligent also. She would have had a noble's upbringing. She was taught her history. She's taught her nature. If she's an archer, perception could be very important. That way you can presumably find targets or pick targets out. And if you live in the desert, I mean, really anywhere here, but especially where you have long stretches and you want to try and see better out to the horizon, perception may very well be a skill that she'd have proficiency in as well. Awaz, hey, we're making a character that's going to be exploring the Swarmkeeper subtype for Ranger. We have perception, and of course, going through the lands. If she's, it's not that she doesn't have her noble heritage, though if she has to provide for her retainers as well, I would say survival would help be able to do so. Yep, exactly, Kevin. And thank you for the YouTube subscription. I hope that you enjoy it. It's archived, so if you're looking for, I don't know, a tiefling, you can type in, if you want to do a search, all the videos are tagged with background, race, class, subclass, that kind of a thing. So you can see some interesting combos. And again, on our Discord, you can check out that stuff too. Oh, Twitch recommended. Excellent. Well, do you play Dungeons and Dragons at all? Or is this even your first encounter, not just with Twitch, but with D&D? Oh, you wish you play D&D. Well then, welcome to our table. You're sitting at a table in a virtual game store, an extension of my own physical one. And if you have questions about the game, please ask them. You're among friends. We are here to teach newcomers and to give old-timers maybe some new ideas on how to run, or some plot concepts, or just to refresh our skill set. You have seen it a lot. Excellent. All right, so we're in the middle of making a character here together through random rolls in our own imagination. And when we finish this character, we'll take a little break. Jessica Moon, are you still here? Because I have to pull a box for you. And then we will make one more character tonight. Well, or this morning even. All right, so we have our skills. Our starting equipment, I'm not going to worry about it. We're generating an 18th level character. She probably doesn't have her beginning sword or bow anymore. We have our favorite enemy already. We have listed those. We have our natural explorer class features, and we have her fighting style. She chose to take up the bow and is exceptionally good at it. This is going to give us a +2 bonus to attack rolls you make with ranged weapons. But what's really nice about that too is if we had dexterity be a lower stat for her, it means that she's still accurate shooting if we wanted to make like a strength ranger, but still have her be okay at shooting. Just a little hint. You could be super good at shooting if you have a dex build also, but you can have an equally good at shooting strength ranger if you go archery. Yeah, even if you hang out with us here, you are welcome to do so. However you feel comfortable interacting with our community, you are welcome here. Now, spellcasting, we're going to get to spellcasting in a little bit. That's one of the last things that we do. Not that it's not important, but that relies on stats, and if you'll notice, there's no stats. But we have a full character all the same, and that's the magic of this process. Our Ranger archetype, we know what it's going to be, but we're not going to explore it yet. Next up, we're going to get Primeval Awareness, which is kind of like sending out a radar signal to understand what is around us if we're looking for something in particular. We're going to get an extra attack. At 8th level, we're going to get Land's Stride, which is going to make our movement through different terrains easier. We're also going to get Hide in Plain Sight, which allows us to camouflage ourselves very well. At 14th level as a ranger, we're going to get Vanish. And at 18th level, there is a 20th level capstone, but we're only making an 18th level character. At 18th level, we get Feral Senses. We're aware of invisible creatures. And when you attack a creature you can't see, your inability to see it doesn't impose disadvantage. We feel the presence of people. Couple other things to pick up in our 18 levels of Ranger. This is Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Mythical Hyena, you're going to bed. Have a great night, Mythical. Our proficiency bonus is a 6. Boop. And we also have some spell slots. 4, 3, 3, 3, and 1/5 level spell slot. We are half-casters as Rangers. Paladins are another half-caster as well. Now we're going to get to explore the Swarmkeeper. Feeling a deep connection to the world around them, some Rangers reach out through their magical connection to nature and gather a host of fey spirits, which take the form of swarming beasts, be they buzzing insects, fluttering birds, slippery squids, or otherwise. The swarm becomes a potent force in battle, as well as helpful, if potentially disturbing company for the Ranger. Some swarm keepers are outcasts or hermits, keeping to themselves and their attendant swarms rather than dealing with the discomfort of others. Other swarm keepers enjoy building vibrant communities that work for the mutual benefit of all those they considered part of the swarm. This is probably why she considers herself to be a very good leader, because she not only keeps retainers, she keeps these swarms going as well. In the corner, that is one of our mascots. So there are two main mascots. We have a black griffin boy and a red dragon girl. And there's a couple others that you'll see. You also see Biddy, B-I-T-T-Y. Biddy the blue flying snake there is guarding the cup full of bits, because that's what he likes to nom on. And Biddy really Biddy appreciates all of you who throw a couple bits into the cup for him. The other mascot we have and you'll see in a little bit, is the Tumbled Wench. She has a tavern named after herself because she's a little klutzy, but, you know, she can protect herself in a fight. She keeps that dagger in her garter belt. You got to watch out for that. But she's lovable and has a good heart, and she is one of our crew. All right, so we get some Swarmkeeper magic. You learn the Mage Hand cantrip if you don't already know it. When you cast it, the hand takes the form of swarming nature spirits. So we have Swarmkeeper magic, and we're going to get... Oops, that's a weapon entry. We're going to put this under cantrips. We get Mage Hand. You also learn an additional spell when you reach certain levels of this class, as shown in the Swarmkeeper spells table. These spells count as ranger spells for you, but don't count against the number of ranger spells you know. And so we're going to make a couple notes here. We have Swarm Magic. Whoops, we're only getting one per level. So we get Mage Hand as a cantrip. Fairy Fire is a first level spell. Web as a second. Gaseous Form as a third. Gigante Insect. Or I guess it'd be Insect Gigante. As a fourth. And Insect Plague as our fifth. Real quick, our spell slots. There we go. Let's go back up. Gathered Swarm. So we get this at 3rd level, and then we get an improvement at 11th. You magically attract a swarm of fey spirits that look like tiny beasts of your choice. The swarm remains in your space, crawling on you or through your clothing, or flying and skittering immediately around you within your space. As a bonus action, you can agitate the swarm for 1 minute. For the duration, some of the swarm clings to your weapons or follows your strikes when you attack. Once during each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can deal an extra 1d6 force damage to that creature, and the swarm moves the creature up to 5 feet toward you or away from you, your choice. At 11th level, the extra damage increases to 2d6. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So here we have Gathered Swarm, 2d6 wisdom per long rest. Oh, you like quaddles, like the flying serpents? Well then, hopefully you like Biddy the Snake. He's very friendly. You can also see him in our title screen too. Do-do-do-do. Boo! There they go. Writhing Tide. You can condense part of your swarm into a focused mass that lifts or sweeps you along. Whenever you activate your Gathered Swarm feature, choose one of the following additional benefits. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet, and you can take the disengage action as a bonus action. You gain a climb speed equal to your walking speed. You can climb difficult surfaces, including upside down on ceilings, without making an ability check. Or you gain a flying speed of 10 feet and can hover. Ooh, that's cool. And at 7th level, that's not too terrible. It's making you a lot more versatile when it comes to how you get around. And I love imagining, I just love imagining the swarm. Hey Sharknado, speaking of swarms, we have swarms of sharks inside a tornado. Sharknado, welcome. Thank you. I hope you're enjoying our workshop. You know, just imagine these abilities as they're described. Because yes, there's mechanical benefits, the crunch. There's also the fluff. Scuttling Eyes. Well, thank you very much, Sharknado. I do my best to maintain my nice racing stripe in my beard here. As an action, you can magically form one of the spirits of your swarm into the shape of a tiny beast of your choice. The transformation lasts for 1 hour, at which point the spirit disappears. For the duration, the spirit has a speed of 40 feet, which it can use to walk, climb, fly, or swim. The spirit has your senses and telepathically relays what it sees and hears to you. During your turn, you can speak through the spirit, telepathically command it to move, and it can hide using your bonus to dexterity stealth checks. The spirit has an AC of 18. If it takes damage, you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, DC equal to 10 or half the damage dealt, whichever's higher, or the spirit disappears. As an action, you can dismiss the spirit early. If you do, you can magically teleport to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of where the spirit disappeared. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You can also use it again by expending a spell slot of 3rd level or higher. A monk with a belly dancer theme? That would be really cool. Well, don't think that you have to throw in a bard to get performance from a character. How would you like me to pronounce your name? Just Awaz? Let me know. We can make a wizard belly dancer. We can make a barbarian belly dancer. We can make a warlock belly dancer. Don't think that like bards are the only ones that can perform or do performance things. If you want to make that character, that theme can be applied to any class. Don't feel like you have to force an interaction of some kind. Awaz? Alright. Monk could absolutely do that, Awaz. Just pure monk. You don't even need bard. A barbarian belly dancer would be amazing. Especially because actually both monks and barbarians, they don't have to wear armor. Meaning if you want to have, if you want to have your belly dancing with you, you can. Oh, cool. We're just talking about that region, given the fact that we have, like Conan, like the Sumerian there. Given the ranger that we have here, as this half-orc, she has desert, coast, and mountain, and we're talking about different geographic areas of the world where you would find these similar features close to each other, such that someone in their lifetime could spend and get intimately acquainted with a desert area, with mountains, and with bodies of water like the Persian Gulf, or something like this could also be in like the Fertile Crescent itself. It could be between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Desert doesn't have to be, sand forever. It could be kind of rocky, arid areas as well. You're right on the Persian Gulf. Well, there you go. Yeah, so a lot of us might not consider, we think of coast, it has to be the ocean. It could be a lake. It could be a river. Oh, well, Sharknado, you will love these. If you stick around in our community, Sharknado, especially because geology's your field, I would love for you I'd love to get input from you when we do a map making session. When we do a map making workshop. I'm not sure, Awaz. ASMR is a race, but I'm not sure about the first part. Alright, Scuttling Eyes. As an action, you can magically form one of the spirits of your swarm into the shape... Oh, no, we already did that, didn't we? Oh yeah, that's right, because we're creating a familiar. Our swarm condenses into like a cat or a dog or some other tiny beast, and we can send it out to swim and fly. Yeah, and we can see through its eyes. So then the last feature of our subclass is Storm of Minions. Your swarm can expel a seething storm of spirits that drains life from others. As an action, you create a magical sphere filled with an enraged swarm centered on a point you can see within 120 feet of you. The sphere has a 10-foot radius and lasts for 1 minute. The sphere is difficult terrain for creatures other than you. A creature other than you that starts its turn in the sphere's area must make a Constitution saving throw against your spell save difficulty class. On a failed save, the creature takes 2d8 necrotic damage and is blinded until the start of its next turn. On a successful save, it takes half as much damage and isn't blinded. At the start of your turn, if any number of small or larger creatures took necrotic damage from the swarm, you regain 1d8 hit points. On subsequent turns, you can use a bonus action to move the sphere up to 30 feet. When you activate this feature, you can choose any number of creatures you can see to be unaffected by it. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You can also use it again by expending a spell slot of 4th level or higher. The Storm of Minions. So you create a swirling ball of mosquitoes or even leeches that kind of, I'm getting covered, and so they'll exude the life force, the blood, or some key, like some essence, and the swarm will help you recover. So you're dealing damage to those inside your ball of whatever, insects or whatever you have your swarm being, and will then will give you health in return. This could be even if you want bees. You know, we think of a Swarmkeeper. Of course, it's bees. So maybe the bees, the necrotic energy, is them injecting sort of a venom, a poison of sorts that necrotizes the flesh, and so it turns the skin that the life force has been like condensed into almost into a nectar. Can you imagine this? A bunch of magical bees attack you. They're dissolving your skin to turn into like flesh nectar. And then the bees like kind of fly from you, and they're delivering that nectar as like honey to nurture the Swarmkeeper. Oh, Kieran is in the Celestial. Got it. They apparently hang out in the desert and talk to Brass or Copper or hang out in there. Well, ultimately, your world could be whatever you want it to be. So I like it, and especially so we have someone who, as a noble, walks among the commoners. As someone who identifies with the lesser people, she has brought this leadership. She's brought this leadership. She wanders the mountains, the coast, the desert, bringing people together. She has followers, retainers. I mean, we made the joke earlier in the stream, I think, when we were pulling minis. Someone said, yeah, Matt's so old that he wrote the commandments. And I said, well, I'd be like the Mel Brooks coming down with the 3 tablets and accidentally drop one and say, I bring 10 commandments. So we have a figure, we're talking about Celestials, and one of the creatures that she understands are Celestials. This could be a character in a religious story set in a D&D world. Maybe she is chosen, she's lived this life where, she can't have children because her noble parents would be betrayed. from their terrible secret. So she goes out and lives the best life she can with other people, which include these spirits that form a swarm. She has followers who follow her through the desert and the mountains. Now, I don't know about you all. There's a lot of Abrahamic, inspiration, let alone, do we want to go into Zoroastrianism? Do we want to talk about, no, I was going to say, it's not Janus. Or it's not spelled Janus. It's like Janes? Jaines? Which is, another... although I think that's more on the Indian subcontinent. Ah, shoot, I hope I'm not mixing it up. But for sure, Zoroastrianism is out that way. And then, of course, I mean, there's the animism beliefs of the various Bedouin tribes that existed before before Islam became a dominant unifying religion in the area. So this could be even tales of an animistic ascension, especially because we're dealing with fae or animal spirits that can delve into Native American. It doesn't even just have to be Arabian Peninsula. If you're in North America, or even if you're in South or Central, there's a lot of areas too that, do we want to go Aztec with this? Do we want to go Mayan? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm in a lot of the names around where I'm at. I'm on Lake Erie, a great body of water that could be coastal. Now, there's not too much desert in Ohio, but fantasy is all about mixing things up from history to what we create in our minds. So don't worry about making mistakes. Yeah, if we're getting at least, hey, we'll reference a source if we need it. But you're absolutely correct, Sharknado. There's so many cultures, there's so many beliefs, so many different types of people in the world that we can draw inspiration from. And if you do, I don't want people to feel like, well, I can't ever talk about animistic religions because I'm afraid that I would insult someone who practices Shintoism or an Aboriginal or an Aborigine in Australia, by having the concept of like a dream time. Unless you are very, like, you're trying to go out of your way to publicly mock or mimic or to make fun of, it's fine to draw on that inspiration. Many religions are tied together. Many religions have common themes and goals. Or you'll find that, this is a saying in an old book. You might have heard of it. It's called the Bible. There's nothing new under the sun. Because it's all related. And so you can take an honorable concept and turn it into what you want to present with your friends and family at your dinner table. And in fact, on this note, before we take a break, I can bring this up. If this... Oh! It cut it off. I'm gonna have to find the full one. There we go. The golden rule as a concept shared in look at all of these major religions that share a similar golden rule, which breaks down to treat others as you yourself would like to be treated. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Taoism, Sikhs, Christians, various native spiritualities. Jainism is the one I was thinking of earlier as well. One should treat all creatures in the world as one would like to be treated. There's Zoroastrianism. Do not do unto others whatever is injurious unto yourself. Buddhism, treat not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. We find the golden rule as a unifying part, despite, look at the divisions. Look at the divisions in humanity just among this one schism that we can be separated as human beings, and yet find the unity in them all. So anyway, fun little moral on the side. We can find commonality in all things, and that is the beauty and the strife in life, my friends. But anyway, let's take a quick break. By the way, I'm open. Oh shoot! You know what? There's a couple. There's technically. We've already gone almost 2 hours. All right, we've gone over this information. I'm gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna finish this character, which won't take too much longer. It looks like there's a lot of blank space. The rest of this is gonna fill in easily. We'll finish this character, and we'll start from the ground up. And we'll build a fresh new character using these considerations. But I need to get up and relieve myself. So another common bond amongst human beings for some reason. So I'll be back shortly, and we'll continue on. Okay.